If you're scraping a website, the most natural question to ask is, how will you select that specific bit of the site that you're interested in? We'll do this using selectors. Selectors in Scrapy are a way to specify what HTML elements we are interested in, where do we want to extract the data from. Scrapy supports both XPath as well as CSS class selectors. XPath allows you to represent a hierarchical path in an XML or an HTML document. This path starts at some top level element, goes down the nested elements till you reach the element that you're interested in. Scrapy selectors also work with CSS class names. CSS class names are typically defined in a CSS file and applied to specific HTML elements within your document in order to set up the visual look and feel of that element. Using CSS class names, you can select all elements which have the same style applied. Let's log into our Scrapy shell using the same quotes2scrape.com website. The standard practice when you're working with Scrapy is to view the rendered page on a website and inspect the underlying HTML and CSS to determine how you want to set up your selector. I'm using the built-in developer tools on the Chrome web browser here. I right-click and click on Inspect, and it will bring up the HTML specification of this page. Under the head HTML tag is the title of this page, Quotes to Scrape. We'll try to access this using Scrapy. The response object within the Scrapy shell contains the downloaded contents of the page. We can call the .css function on the response object to access specific HTML elements, such as the title element. The return value from this function is a Scrapy selector. You can then invoke the extract function on the selector object in order to get the data component of the selector, which is our HTML tag with the text within it. Notice that the title tag is also included in the result of the extract. If you're only interested in the text of the element and not the element itself, you indicate this by specifying title : text. The result will just be the extracted text within a list. Let's say we wanted to extract the authors of all the quotes on this page. Let's inspect the authors element, and you'll find that it has a specific CSS class applied, the author class. We can specify class names as selectors in Scrapy by using the dot notation. If you've worked with CSS styles, the dot notation should be very familiar to you. This will select all of those HTML elements which have the author class name. The type of the return value is a special list within Scrapy called the selector list. The selector list is used to hold multiple selector elements. We can use the extract function on the selector list to get the actual HTML elements which contain our author information. Notice that every one of our HTML elements contains the small tag. We'll use this tag later on, so just make a note of it here. The type of this response is of a simple list type. It's not a selector list, it's just a list of HTML elements. You can then use list indexing to access individual HTML elements in this list. If you want to access just the first element, instead of using list indexing, you'll use the extract first method on any selector list. This will automatically give you access to the HTML element which is the first in this list, which was the first to be scraped off the page. Extract first gives us the HTML element in string format. If you want only the text contents of that element, you need to specify the : text as before. And this is what gives us access to the individual author names. If you remember, every HTML element which contained an author name had the small tag. So you can also specify the CSS class using the tag.class format. Small.author : text will give you all the authors. We'll go back to the same page, and instead of extracting the authors, we'll extract the quotes which are present on this page. Our inspection of the page tells us that the quotes are within a span tag which has the text class applied. This span tag is a child element of a div tag which has the quote class applied. Scrapy also allows you to specify a hierarchy of CSS class names to access a particular HTML element. Here we want to select all HTML elements which have the .text class name applied, but which are under an element which have the .quote class name applied. And here are the HTML elements containing our quotes. Scrapy selectors allow you many different ways to express the same information to access the same tag. Let's extract this particular quote that you see highlighted on screen. Inspecting this element will show you that within your HTML, this is the second div quote element within the div call MD8 element. We don't have to parse this HTML structure ourselves. It's very helpfully highlighted at the bottom of the screen. You can just copy paste this from your Chrome developer tools. And here is the path to the second quote that we saw earlier. The greater than sign or the arrow pointing to the right indicates a hierarchical relationship between the elements that we've selected. The element that we've selected is the second child of this particular div in our hierarchy. Here is the second quote from that page. Similarly, we can access the fifth quote from that page by specifying nth child of 5. And here is the fifth quote. Now let's switch back to our website and let's say that it's not the text that we are interested in. Instead, we are interested in extracting this particular link, and not just this link. We want all the links off of this page. Links are specified using ahref attributes, and that's what we'll access. And here is a selector which does exactly that. We are interested in the A tags on this page, and we are specifically interested in what the href attributes of the A tag points to. And the resulting list is all the links that lead off of this page.